Dunk.
How are you doing, guys, gals, non-binary pals? Info here with another memes build video. Now this one is so stupid. You just don't even want to try it. Seriously, I make these videos so you don't have to. In theory, this could work really, really well. It does utterly destroy single targets, but problem is, it's so slow because of the nature of the beast. So it's a summoning build using Eagle Horn for the massively increased Raven damage. Now, the problem with this, when we go into skills, will become apparent. So, skills. In the defensive tree, we have 1-point wonders everywhere, which because of all the plus skills in our gear, actually become fairly useful. Redemption, may not be the powerhouse it used to be with only 11 points in it for life, but it really helps with the mana pool, because we're constantly casting, so we need the mana replenish. Same with cleansing, getting rid of poison, pretty good. Now, we've maxed out resist cold, for the reason that Ravens, as they stand with all my plus skills and from the bow and everything, being 1830 to 1838. Now, if I was to put on resist cold, thanks to one of my followers, for Herder till Hest, he pointed out that even though ravens are a pet and I said they're not affected by auras, but because of the nature of how resist cold, lightning and fire work, the damage bonus is a percent, and it works like a facet, which I did know, but I thought that because it's an aura, it's not going to apply to a pet like it has done, but because of the nature of facets applying to the ravens, as you can see, it does work. So we shoot up to 2294 to 2305 damage, have resist cold active. Now, the only problem with that is because raven summoning only increases in number with hard points. So because the 10 to raven on your gear is soft points, you only can summon one at a time. It's incredibly frustrating. What I'd like the devs to do with this is possibly reduce the damage down to maybe ravens dealing 1,000, plus 1,000 extra cold damage, but then bump it up to 20 to raven, 23 I think is where you need to hit 3 per cast. I could be wrong on that, but just get it up to that point and make it count as hard points. And then this would be okay, because you're constantly summoning. It's a bit of a pain. Anyway, just to, back to the skills. So resist cold. Say, for example, you're doing bail runs while you're waiting for something to pop out, or you're traveling towards something, you don't mind sort of stutter step casting. Flick over to resist cold, get that, extra boost of 500 odd damage when you're casting the ravens. Most of the time, though, I just stick with a max conviction, because that's some solid damage there to help the ravens out. In my case, it's minus 70% to the resistances, so it adds a hefty bonus. Combat skill, tree-wise, because there's a lot of points left over, because we've only maxed resist cold and conviction, and because we don't need a combat skill, really, because we're summoning ravens, but you got some backups. Now, I'm going to max Holy Bolt, Fist of Heavens, and Holy Nova. So Holy Nova's already maxed, so that's just a fire and forget, happy little full screen damage bonus. It's not very big damage wise, but it is big on the healing. So 680, keep your Mercenary tanking to keep him helping, because he's proccing lower res. So that really helps with the damage. Fist of the Heavens against those magic immune, cold immune targets, such as Wave 2, Bale Throne. Bit of a pain, so that's why I switched to Fist of Heavens. Mostly I'll be spamming Holy Bolts between summoning ravens, because the magic damage is pretty tight and pretty powerful, and also it helps to heal Alazir. As I said, I mostly use Holy Nova for that. So you guys are probably thinking, so yeah, you're just a Holy Bolt, Holy Paladin with extra steps. Yeah, you could argue that, but it's a lot of fun watching ravens absolutely destroy things. It really is. So that's skill. So we'll go on to the gear. So obviously we have to have Eagle Horn. Ideally you want a max sockets, full of facets here. I did actually start off with a Holy Freeze build here to back up the Ravens and to keep the screen slowed. I had a Barbarian, a bunch of open wounds gear on. He would charge in, whirlwind in, start bleeding everything to death, and I was helping to shoot. And I had a very respectable 7k damage, because the thing about Eaglehorn is it has Fool's Mod, so you get the enhanced max damage on character level and a huge attack rating. So you're not useless. If you wanted to be more combat oriented, help out with the damage, you can. However, the proccing notion here, because you're only shooting a normal attack, it's incredibly slow. So the 12% chance to cast a level 28 Raven is useless. On other characters, it's very useful. I've done a Wolf Proc Druid of this, where he was constantly furying, which meant the Ravens were up, and because he's a Druid, you could synergize the Ravens. That was back when they were doing less cold damage, but you know, it was fantastic. It worked very well. And an Amazon with Strafe, again, because the nature of how fast she shoots, she's constantly got Ravens up. I barely did any casting. Whereas this is the opposite. It's, you know, you're casting all the time and then you shoot a bit and then rock. As I said, I've changed it since then to full out try and maximize the damage of the Ravens casting by having Conviction instead of Holy Freeze. Because I went all in on cold for once, which is something I don't usually do, as we know. So yeah, I've got a couple of crappy cold facets in there. One missing because I just don't have anything anymore. We're at the end of season, there's nothing to trade for and no farming I'm bothered to do. So yeah, max sockets, full of cold facets if you want to go casting route. This Nightwings, again, I couldn't get anything decent, but it's got a rubbish cold facet in it, and you know, as much as I could with cold skill damage, which helps out with Ravens when you summon them. This is a hangover from when I was shooting, but it's so clean and lovely, I just wanted to leave it on. So again, maximizing those all skills to maximize the Ravens, but it's just lovely. Again, here you'd want Mara's +4 to all skills, pretty much. You could experiment with some casting amulets, try and get the cast rate up. Because obviously the faster you cast, the faster the Raven's out, the quicker you can go back to Holy Bolt, Fist of Heavens, Holy Nova, that kind of thing. My cast rate is abominable, but we'll get to that. So the arrows are still based off of when I was shooting, so they have massive increased attack speed on them, as you can see, and damage, and fundamentally you just want all res here because it's a shield. It's acting as a shield, essentially. So life per kill, instances, life, faster hit recovery, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just left them on. Wasn't bothered. Chains of Honor was from the previous incarnation of this paladin, the Thorns charged in. So sadly it's in a very high strength base, or I'd probably have it in something lower. Again, I'm using it mostly for the tutorial skills and the res, because again, we don't have access to Herald of Zakarum, so we need the res. However, my choice here would be an absolutely pimped out Skin of the Viper Magi with +1 to all skills, corruption, a couple of sockets with life and mana per kill jewels in them, and or maybe even runes. Just max out that res, because again, we're using a bow and arrow, you don't get much. The Merman Sprocket are still on from when I was shooting, again maximizing the cold damage, but I kept them on because the 60 faster run walk is huge, and it means you can redeploy and be safe running around dodging things if your mercenary's not tanking it. So it's good to have. Life after each kill slam sadly isn't good anymore because it doesn't work with pets. But yeah, it was great when I was shooting. So this ring here is again a throwback to the max damage is a throwback to when I was shooting. Mostly just using it for the fire lightning res to help max them out. Tiny bit of magic fine, but it's rubbish. Snow Clash, regardless of whether I was shooting or not for the cold damage, is incredibly useful because 2 to cold skills helps with the Ravens because they're a cold skill, helps their damage. The half freeze duration coupled with Nightwing's half freeze duration means they cannot be frozen. This is in the build. So yeah, all round a great belt there. Then 10 to strength slam is really useful for getting my heavy gear on. Again, this would be much more optimized if I was going to really go for it in season. So this ring, cast rate, strength to help get the gear on, lightning res to help out because that's fire, cold, lightning. Yeah, what it is. And lastly, some Mage Fists for the cast rate to help, as I said, get that up there, get the Ravens out as much as possible. You could have in this slot here something like this, so stat stick one. Again, I've not bothered slamming any of these because they're not good enough, because it's only 6% cast rate. But having that massive strength and dex on there to help get your gear on is great. Or you could have half freeze duration if you didn't have Nightwing's Snow Clash, although I'd recommend them. Again, could be 20 cast rate there and some extras. This one, some Magic Find, for example, mana per kill. And then this one for the, again, dex to help get the bow on and Magic Find and mana per kill. So yeah, things like that you could use, life, resistances, etc. So charms, I've got an offensive aura and a defensive aura, just to help boost them up when I'm using them. Again, if I had a full quota of defensive aura skillers, Ravens would be rocking the place. But it's very clunky to use them in and out. What you really want, oh, some life and this is help out. What you really want is these. So hold skill damage. Again, I've only got a bunch of 2s, got a couple of 3s. Couple of 2s, and then a couple of lightning ones for when I'm using Fist of Heavens. So ideally what you want here is a full quota of 3 to cold skill damage lifers. Fill up your inventory, fill your boots. Again, you could have some defensive ones for using resist cold, but and I wouldn't really bother with offensive ones either. Just have a full quota of 3 to cold skill damage life. Torch and Annie, paramount because you need it for res and the skills. In this case, Paladin skills obviously only helps convict Holy Bolt and things. But if you had a 2 slammed Annie, that's even more Raven stuff. And then some fast hit recovery because I was lacking, and poison I was lacking. Again, rubbishy charms. So on to the Mercenary. So he's helping me out with the lower resist on striking. This is probably the scraping the bottom of the barrel weapon-wise. I've got some really decent ones of these, but just on different characters. So the idea is to get that as fast and as powerful as possible, so he can damage himself physically and proc lower resistance. So Rock Stopper, increase max life. Again, doesn't even have a socket in it or anything. It's just to give him some fast hit recovery, life, res, and physical damage reduction. Great little helmet, highly underrated. You know, if you could get a couple of sockets in it, some rubies, happy days. Cheap version, great stuff. I did have a Crown of Ages in, but I had to rob it for your character, so sorry guy, you don't get the good stuff. Duriel Shell upgraded to a Great Hauberk, so you get the massive defense bonus, the life as well, cannot be frozen, resistances, all good stuff. I would still recommend that as an armor slot. Back in LOD days, it was fantastic. I mean, I know you can craft things better these days and more readily available. It's easier in P2. But yeah, want of anything else, stuck a Duriel's on him. You could have Duress, you could have Lionheart, you could have, let's say, a crafted, pimped out damage reduction armor full of ED, IS jewels and things like that. Go nuts. Goblin Toes just for the help for a bit of crushing blow and enhanced damage against bosses. Fast hit recovery is not a bad slam. Again, upped gauze, anything like that. Blade Buckle was there just for the strength to get the Colossus Volge on. So again, once he gets past that, because we're only level 85, bless us. You know, once he gets upped, you know, give him a string. Here's. And then Hand of Brock, again, I just didn't have anything else knocking around, but it had ED on it. So I'm just trying to get his ED up as much as possible, because that's really lame. Should have like 6k really there with better gear. But again, he's just there to proc lower res and just stay alive, really. So, yeah, that's the Mercenary. We might as well look at his breakpoints while we're here, and then we'll do mine. So, yeah, he's got an 11 frame jab. Not brilliant, but it does the job. He's got huge fast hit recovery, though, 86. So I can, you know, he can get out of there. He's getting stuck, and I can't heal him properly for some reason. But usually the Holy Bolt and the Holy Nova takes care of keeping him up and alive, because, you know, his life pool is only, you know, it's 2k. It's not bad. So he's only got a tiny bit of life leech from the Hands of Brock, sadly. But, you know, he's doing alright. He's got decent res. If he gets hit with lightning bolt still stand up pretty well. So my breakpoints, I've only got 30 faster cast rate. I would love to hit 75, which is why I'm saying a pimped out Skin of the Viper Magi there, some cast rate on your amulet, maybe a crafted one, cast rate here, get it up as high as possible, and it would really make a difference to getting those ravens out as fast as possible. We've only got 5 flat damage reduction and 5% from Chains of Honor, 5 flat from somewhere random. Yeah, this ring slam. Yes. We got max res. If something happened, we got a ridiculous faster run walk speed, which is nice. Yeah, tiny bit of mana and life per kill, not brilliant. Again, you're relying on sucking up corpses with the old redemption, which is, you know, it's one of Paladin's skills. Why not use it, right? But yeah, it's just ridiculous build. It's fun, but it's not like powerful in any way. It's just for so map choices. Trojan Jungle. I did a 20-minute Trojan Jungle, yellow Trojan Jungle. I've only got a white one here just to show you what it's like, because there's very little cold immunes in there, so you can just rock out with the cold immunes, slapping down ravens. So yeah, why don't we just get on and do that now? So we pop in. Oh, and sorry, on Switch as usual, of course, it's Spell Steal, it's me. So the only problem with that is another one of the intrinsic problems with PD2 mechanics and things. If you summon all of those ravens and then weapon switch, there's a high chance they'll just all disappear. Sometimes it bugs, and because max ravens is 15, as you can see. But sometimes when I weapon switch, it'll take me down to 11. Oddly, I don't know why. And then I'll quickly do my teleport, and then quickly switch back so I can keep them. Because obviously, if you blind teleport into an area and it's a host of monsters, it's kind of scary. Luckily, he's around to help tank. And obviously, like I said, I had a barb before. I did briefly dalliance with a full Mavina's Fire Act 1 rogue, so I could run around even faster. But it was just, she just wasn't pumping the damage out quick enough, and I needed a tank. So, and again, low resist. So, gameplay stuff. So we'll pop on resist cold. So that went from 1830 to 2305 top end. And we hold down shift, stand on the spot, and spam, spammity, spam. So we then have 15 ravens times, 15 times 2305. Now that is spank. It really is. So then we switch back, and we've got conviction. So even more damage, and then when he procs his lower res, even more damage. The only problem is, as you're about to see, ravens only do 5 hits. So we run in. There you go, lower resist is out. They're spanking away. I'll pop the Holy Nova. Any minute now, watch that counter. It's going to go down. So, I mean, as you can see, it's really slow because I'm not helping. But yeah, it's already down to 6, and there's still monsters on the screen. So I have to sit here and spam cast like this. But it is quite fast and quite fluid in the sense that you run in, you do a bit of shooting, let off your Holy Nova, shoot a bit more. You probably think, right, the ravens are getting near the end of their hits, which they were. You saw the counter go down, start to summon again. And again, if I was summoning now and it was 3, 6, 9, 12, I mean, it would be so much quicker. And then I could just roll in. There's some enemies. We do a couple of summon clicks, shoot a bit more holy stuff, shoot off the Holy Nova, bam, like that. If we just stand, as I said, the ravens would, ruin single targets. And then now, as I said, the reason it's so slow is the summoning. Terrible. Let's see if we can stand back a week. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's just piles of fun watching things get pecked to death. But it's not an efficient build. As I said, it's just pure fun, pure memes. If you don't mind doing 20-minute maps, have fun with it. It's like, oh, see, he was cold immune, so this is why we're helping out here. We slam down the old Holy Bolts, heal your Mercenary, summon some ravens. Lots and lots of fun. As I said, this could work. I have a feeling it could work rather well if you sort the gear out and maximise. Obviously, it's still a meme. You'll still be doing 10, 15-minute maps. But if you maximise the gear potential, and the devs very kindly let us have lots more ravens per cast by making it hard points on Eaglehorn, this would be, rival some of the stronger memes I've built this season. So yeah, go out there, have some fun trying to cast. But like I said, my recommendation, make a kicker. Make a kicker, slam this bow on them, watch them kick super fast and proc all the ravens to death. So you're doing physical and cold. So let me just, without the Mercenary's help, see that? Single target, he absolutely got destroyed. It is fun, but as you see the rate's going down, you're just constantly summoning la 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 la. Well, I hope you enjoyed that anyway, guys. Like I said, don't slate me for this being the worst meme I've made this season. I make them so you don't have to. But yeah, enjoy the Ravens destroying. Alright, take care. Derp.